All right, man, peace. So, brothers, Luka Doncic has had a very impactful rookie year. But how impactful exactly has it been? Is it at an all-time level? Or is it just to the degree where he deserves to be called the Rookie of the Year? Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, believes that Luka Doncic's rookie year can stack up with some of the greatest of all time. That means Larry Bird, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Tim Duncan, etc. Is he being accurate, or is he just trying to pump up his guy because that's part of how they're going to market their team for the next 10 years? Let's find out. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Dallas Mavericks coach Rick Carlisle told reporters yesterday that Luka Doncic is the best rookie he has seen since LeBron James.
Let me say this very quickly. Luka Doncic is not even as good or as impactful as the two players who were battling for the Rookie of the Year last season. That being Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. He's not even as impactful as those two guys. And it's extremely disrespectful to claim that he's the best rookie since LeBron James. I mean, give me a break. When you read what Rick Carlisle stated, he tried to align Luka Doncic with Larry Bird and Michael Jordan's rookie season and all those. The Dallas Mavericks came nowhere close to making the playoffs this year. Nowhere close. And in this NBA that is as wide open as it is and really suits a player who plays like a Luka Doncic, they should have been battling similar to a Sacramento Kings for me to say that his rookie year was anywhere near as impactful as a LeBron James or someone else. Now, LeBron did not make the playoffs in his rookie year either, but that NBA was very different.
It's led all rookies in scoring this season at just over 21 points per game. All right, Ryan, we're going to start with you here. Do you agree? Is Luka the best rookie since LeBron?
Absolutely not. Luka Doncic is not even as good a rookie as Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell were last year. He's not as good a rookie as Kevin Durant was. He's certainly not as good a rookie as Blake Griffin was.
I fully agree, and I understand where Coach Carlisle is coming from. I played for him, and I've never seen anything like Luka Doncic.
You've never seen anything like Luka Doncic. You sound like Mark Cuban is paying you. I see Luka Doncic as a player whose ceiling would be a right-handed European version of James Harden. So that means what? He could rise to the level of an MVP caliber player, especially in this NBA today. But to say that you've never seen anything like him, give me a break.
I was in the Spanish league the same time that he was there.
In other words, you were a scrub and he was busting your ass from overseas.
In the leap that he's made from the Spanish league, being the same player there to, in fact, almost being better in the NBA is unreal. Why do I say that? Luka has the it factor.
I would agree with that. Luka has the quote-unquote clutch gene. He definitely has the it factor. He's someone that once he starts to understand the game a little bit better, he's going to be a player who's going to impact his team to a far higher degree. Once again, I see his ceiling as being a James Harden-esque type player. And I've said that in other videos.
This is a guy who's 6'8", who can run your offense and play make. And if we break down the way the NBA's played today with versatility, can you beat your matchup one-on-one? And then do you have the ability to pass out and hit an open shooter? Can you make the correct play after play after play? And as you compare him to LeBron James, obviously LeBron is a freak athlete. He's one of the most talented athlete we've ever seen across any sport. But Luka Doncic in the NBA has the ability to shoot a contested step-back three from 27 to 28 feet contested play.
Yes, he can shoot it, but is he making those shots? There's a big difference between someone who can take shots and who can make them. And right now, Luka Doncic is a very overrated outside jump shooter. That's why their team was nowhere near making the playoffs. Now, it will be interesting to see how good they are next year with a presumably healthy Kristaps Porzingis teaming up with Luka Doncic. But they're going to have to surround Luka and Kristaps with 3-and-D guys. Kristaps is going to be expected to carry the load defensively, but Luka can't guard any damn body.
Play after play after play, and he steps up and hits clutch shots. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
You've never seen anyone hit clutch shot after clutch shot, huh? Okay. It's now confirmed that you're on Mark Cuban's payroll.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue that Luka is bad. I think he's obviously great, and I think he deserves to be in the conversation. But I think that if I think back to Blake Griffin's season, like, while he hasn't panned out to have the career that we want, Blake Griffin's rookie year was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Statistically, it matches up quite well with Luka's, and it also had the...
No, it matches up far better than Luka's. That's what it does.
Had the extra fact of highlight after highlight. Like, I remember tuning in Blake Griffin's season to see Blake play a lot more often than I did to see Luka play. So now, if we're starting a franchise, I agree that Luka's probably the guy to build around. But if you're talking about who just had, you see the stats right there. He had more rebounds. He had more double-doubles. He had slightly more points. Like Blake Griffin, when he hit the league, the expectations for him were lower than they are for Luka. And what happened,
it was his second year, right?
I know it's his second year, but it was still his first year.
No, it was not his second year, dude. Knock it off with that second year bullshit. That was his rookie year in that it was his first year on the court. Now, we're going to argue over whether or not a player in his official second season should be the recipient of the NBA's Rookie of the Year award. That's a separate argument, because I do believe that if it's your second year in the NBA, you should not be eligible for the Rookie of the Year, even if you haven't played. If you can't stay healthy for your rookie year, then, oh, well, that's a you problem. But that was his first year on the basketball floor.
First year?
No, he said, but
no, it's his rookie year.
But his rookie year.
Hold on. So if you want to do that, then we can talk about Luka's a professional basketball player. He's the MVP of the EuroLeague. So,
great point.
So if you want to parse it like that, then we can go there too.
He was a rookie.
He
was a rookie.
So was Blake Griffin.
So he's probably younger.
So you know, taking their rookie seasons alone as evidence, you might have an argument between Blake Griffin and Luka Doncic, but I don't think that's how we can judge who is the best rookie since LeBron James. I think that's part of it. I think the other part is...
See, shit like this is why many of the NBA players try to push and promote Trae Young to be the Rookie of the Year, because they see how the media is trying to coax people into believing that Luka Doncic is greater than he actually is. And that's not to say that he won't eventually be as great as they're hoping he's going to be. But right now, he's a very good young player, and the sky seems to be the limit for him. But to compare him to some of the other rookies that we've seen so recently and act like they just were not a blip on his radar screen is disingenuous.
Where do you feel like the arrow is pointing for this particular player? And I think with Luka, to all the reasons that Ryan laid out, the arrow is going so high up.
That's what you're hoping. That's what you're hoping. Next season is going to be a very big year for Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. They have to make the playoffs. They have to make the playoffs. And in the Western Conference, that is a stacked deck. But if you're going to keep talking about Luka Doncic like he's this transcendent player, he has to take the team to the playoffs next year. And who's going to miss the playoffs next season in place of the Mavericks? And also keep in mind that you have other teams that missed the playoffs this year. The Kings, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, who are going to be very competitive and expected to strive to make the playoffs next season.
It doesn't feel like the thing everybody said about him when he came out, that he's already at his ceiling. Blake suffered not just from having one of his best seasons of his career, his rookie year. The league changed out from under Blake as it was happening.
I agree. That was a different league. I was going to state that, but I let them keep going. Blake Griffin's rookie year was a different NBA. The NBA changed so drastically in just a couple of years, predominantly because of the Golden State Warriors and the style of play that they brought into the league. You know, as Will Kane has stated so well, the NBA really changed after Blake's rookie year.
The league moved out to the three-point arc. The league became big men need to be able to stretch the floor. Right after. The Golden State Warriors happened right after Blake did this as a rookie.
Agreed.
Luka feels like he's ahead of where the NBA is going. Like how Ryan laid it out, he's versatile, he's big, he can run an offense. I've never seen the kind of vision he has. I mean, you've seen it.
You've never seen the type of vision that Luka Doncic has. You hear what these dudes are saying about this guy? He's a great young player. Let's stop trying to act like he's reinventing the wheel.
LeBron obviously had it as well, but his brain seems to be on a 3-second fast forward loop of everybody else. He knows the right play to make, and I think this is the most important part. And again, I think you said a lot of these things, Ryan. He has that special thing, man. He's clutch. Before they started tanking, he was up towards the top of the league in clutch shooting.
That's your excuse for why the Dallas Mavericks have not played well, that they've been tanking. There have been plenty of games that they've tried to win and that they lost. So we're going to have to reevaluate the Mavericks next season and see exactly how good he is and how much growth he's experienced from this year to next year.
To win a game in the last 5 minutes. And he's got a special move. That step back three, I mean, as a rookie, he's already got the things that we go, wow, James Harden has that. This guy has that. Luka feels like he's going to end up way up here.
Yeah, so you guys aren't going to get me to argue that Luka isn't going to be way up here. Like, I think Luka is great, but I guess we're having different arguments. If we're talking about just the rookie season, then I think that Blake Griffin is up there for just the rookie season.
Well, Dominic Foxworth, that's the issue that you're going to have for the entirety of this conversation. Because people are evaluating Luka Doncic with their heart and not with their eyes. Right now, he's a very good and promising young talent. but he does not defend well, and he's not a particularly proficient jump shooter. He takes a lot of difficult jump shots, and he does not make as many of them as they would like to have you think.
We're talking about someone whose rookie season made you excited about their future. I think Luka beats Blake Griffin, but I think that you have to bring guys in like Durant. Like
absolutely.
So like now we're having different arguments.
Not this rookie year.
No.
What about last year? Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. They both had better rookie seasons last year than Luka Doncic has had this year. Both of them. They both were able to take their teams to the playoffs. Luka Doncic did not do that. People might say, well, wait a minute. Ben Simmons had Joel Embiid. Luka Doncic had other veteran players on his squad that if he was as impactful as they're trying to claim that he is, the Dallas Mavericks should have been put in a precarious position of trying to determine whether or not they wanted to make a real playoff run or trade those veterans. They never had to think for a moment because they knew that they were not going to make the playoffs regardless of how well Luka Doncic played or didn't play, because he was not good enough to lead them to the playoffs even with those vets. He just wasn't.
No, Durant's rookie season showed a lot of promise. And
we're just talking
that's essentially what the argument you're making.
Let me end this. Promise was different than a finished product. KD, I played against KD his rookie year. KD,
You played against him or you watched from the bench?
KD had,
and you were coached by all of them.
KD worked on his handle, and once his handle got tight, he was unstoppable. But his rookie year, you could argue that Jeff Green was more of a consistent player on his own team. When you look at Blake Griffin, you saw a franchise player his rookie year. When you looked at LeBron James, you saw Michael Jordan, someone you compared to.
No, not quite. When we watched LeBron James in his rookie year, we saw someone who was great to watch, who was fun to follow, and someone who we hoped would ascend to the heights that were prognosticated for him. But Michael Jordan, no. Michael Jordan as a rookie averaged 28 points a game on 51% shooting from the field and led a Chicago Bulls team full of cokeheads and degenerates to a playoff berth for the first time in I don't know how many years. So no, we did not see LeBron James in his rookie year when we saw Michael Jordan.
When you look at Luka, I see a championship. He's that good because he can make plays at an incredibly high level.
Well, here's the problem with what Ryan Hollins is saying. In order to deduce that Luka Doncic is going to be a championship level player, what you're basically saying is that he's going to be as impactful as a Steph Curry, a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James, or play at the level of dominance of a Giannis Antetokounmpo this year, or James Harden this year. That's the level that he's going to have to get to. So are you sure that he's going to get that good? I say this all the time. Many seasons, whether it's the NFL or the NBA, you have these rookies come in and they have a very good year for a rookie. And everyone says the sky's the limit for this guy. And then the next year comes and they have the same exact year they had as a rookie, if not worse. If not worse. Look at Jason Tatum. You have guys like that. Their rookie year, they average 18 points a game. The next year, they average 17.5. The next year, they average 17.2. The next year, they average 18.1. And that's just who they are as a player. Luka's had a great rookie year. I want to see what he does next year, though. Especially when many of the better teams are expecting him and have a better idea of how to play him. Now, in this NBA, it's really built for the players of his ilk. The James Hardens, the Russell Westbrooks, the LeBron James. The guys who take the ball at the top of the key or the top of the three-point line. And they basically run a 1-4 set, spread the floor. And they can go in between the legs and step back and pull up. In this league, he's going to be a very effective player. But how effective he's going to be, I'm not quite sure. And the claim that he's going to be a championship level player, that's saying a lot. Let him at least make the playoffs first.
At the highest stakes, you don't throw out those comparisons for just anybody, Dom. So I understand statistically why you talk Blake Griffin.
Now they compare him to LeBron James. LeBron played in a completely different era. Back in that time period of 2003 to 2004, the NBA was an extremely defensive league. Very defensive league. So LeBron's 20.9 points per game, they hold up a lot better and bigger than Luka's 21.2.
Griffin and the highlights, but the way the NBA is played now and for years to come, this kid is with the trend and he's ahead of the curve.
Think about who's in this debate, right? Best since LeBron. If we're being fair and talking about everybody that should be talked about, that includes Chris Paul, KD, as you point out, which scoring 20 his rookie year, and the arrow was pointed way up.
7 feet tall.
And again, he was almost.
He still is. Yeah. Well, close enough.
He's 7.
And that's why I think it's a combination of what did you prove your first year versus how does it feel like it's going to give us where you're headed.
Right.
Blake showed us something his first year, but it didn't take him where we thought it was going to go.
If that's the conversation we're having, then I'll move on from.
I agree. That's a totally separate conversation. Is it that he's having the best rookie season since LeBron, or are you grading him on a curve because you think that he's going to be this outstanding, stupendous top 10 all-time player? Because those are two separate conversations. The conversation topic should be, how good do you think Luka's going to be, as opposed to, has Luka had the best rookie season since LeBron James? Because they're starting to realize the answer is hell no. So now they have to change the argument.
From Blake, because I'm saying rookie year alone, in my opinion, I enjoyed that more. But if you're saying the arrow's pointing up, I think Luka beats Blake, but I don't think he necessarily beats Durant. Like we saw 7.
Hell no. How could he possibly beat Durant? As of right now, Kevin Durant is arguably a top 15 all-time great player. Certainly top 25, maybe even top 20. But no, he can't beat Durant. Durant's career is his first ballot Hall of Famer. He might end it arguably as a top 10 all-time great. I don't think Luka's ever going to get to that point.
7-footer who could score at will, needed to work on some things, but could essentially score at will. Like
KD couldn't score at will his rookie year.
The arrow was pointing up for KD in the same way that it was for Luka.
Luka runs a team, man.
Yeah,
he runs a team. He's got rebounds and assists and shooting. He's got it all, man.
What's his shooting percentage? You say that he's got shooting, but what's his shooting percentage? Is he a shooter like Steph Curry, or is he a shooter like James Harden? Meaning someone who could just jack up shots and has a green light. There's a big difference.
He's just one of 5 players to average 21.7 rebounds and 5 assists per game.
Arguably, this could be the most polished.
That's a nice stat for Luka. But once again, in this era where when you have the player in that role, he's basically playing the Oscar Robertson role, because most of these players today are playing in that archetype of Oscar Robertson, where you have the ball in your hands and you make all the decisions, you get all the assists and all the rebounds. I mean, it's easier for him to do that in this era than a LeBron James or Michael Jordan or what have you back in the day, where what you did was based on your position, not so much your scheme.
Polished rookie we had ever seen. And when I throw that out, most of the time you see guys who can fill it up and can score, and we love to see that. Then you get guys who can assist and just pass and run a team, even Alonzo Ball, for instance. This kid can legitimately score, and when you watch him up close as I have, he's a better athlete than you would imagine.
Well, he's definitely a better athlete than people might think, but at the end of the day, what really are you saying when you say that? That's kind of loaded language. That's basically your way of saying, for a white guy, he can run and jump pretty well.
He's just got the it factor, and he's tough as nails.
Ryan, what do you think Luka's ceiling is? Who is he in the league?
I think he's
a right-handed European version of James Harden. I've said that for a very long time now.
He's going to be a champion. I think he's going to be an NBA champion. As we throw out ceiling, it's tough because we can say he's a big guard. Larry Bird held that capabilities, but he's a little.
Larry Bird was not a big guard. So just by you making that statement, you're showing that you know nothing about basketball before the LeBron James era. Once again, just because a dude played in the league does not mean that he knows what he's talking about. Ryan Hollins does not know what he's talking about. But I already knew that he was not someone who was particularly knowledgeable when he tried to poo-poo the conversation of LeBron James and Larry Bird. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
A little more athletic than Larry. I don't know if he's necessarily the same shooter. Does he pass and
I can answer that already. The answer is no.
Pass and playmaking big like LeBron? Yeah, so you have to thought this.
I think he looks like James Harden, but
completely agree.
But more well-rounded.
I don't agree with that part. I agree that he's a right-handed version of James Harden, but to say that he's more well-rounded, no.
So, I think this is not even necessarily to help my argument, but I think that he made this team much better. They're 10 wins better on a team that's still trying to tank. Like, I give Luka a ton of credit. He almost played all 82 games, which...
Right, but they were so terrible last season. For them to be 10 games better, you would expect that at the very least if he was anywhere near as impactful as you guys are trying to sell him as. But if he was on that transcendent level of rookies, the Michaels, the Larrys, the Magics, then they should have at least made a playoff run. Maybe fallen short, but at least made a playoff run. They should have been somewhere around where the Sacramento Kings finished this year, just outside looking in.
Which Blake Griffin did in his rookie year, but I don't think that.
Stop calling it his rookie year, man.
It was his rookie year. I don't think that makes him as promising as a guy like KD. So I think it's close. We're definitely splitting hairs. It's somewhat kind of difficult to parse here. I'm not going to turn away any of these guys, but
no, it's not particularly difficult to parse. Donovan Mitchell led the Utah Jazz to the playoffs last season. Ben Simmons helped to lead the Philadelphia 76ers to the playoffs last season. That's how I evaluate rookies and the greatest rookies of all time, things of that nature. Larry Bird as a rookie took a team that won 29 games the year before, and they won 60 games by just adding him. So,
but I think we need to slow down. Like, his numbers match up with LeBron.
I agree with you. They do need to slow down, but they're not, because Luka has the complexion for the connection.
LeBron James almost perfectly. Is anybody going to sit here and say that's who he's going to be?
Well,
he made so
let's calm down. Let's not pretend like
let me throw this out.
It didn't say better than LeBron.
Hold on.
Is he going to be comparable to LeBron? You asked who his comp was, and his numbers look like LeBron, and no one's saying that he's pointed in that direction.
I got it.
Well, Dominic Foxworth, you're basically the only person on the panel who's not a fan. So that's why you're the only person on the panel who's talking sense. But this is something that the media does. They did the same thing with Jeremy Lin when he had that 7 or 8 game stretch. Oh, even Magic Johnson never did this as a rookie and all this dumb shit.
I got an answer. LeBron was not effective in 4 quarters. It took years before LeBron could finish games because he couldn't shoot from outside.
Oh, that's good, Ryan Hollins. So now you're confirming that you believe that Luka Doncic is going to be a better and more impactful player than LeBron James. Because you said that the difference between Luka Doncic and LeBron James is that LeBron James could not convert in the 4th quarter. So what you're saying is that Luka Doncic is a better rookie than LeBron James was.
Luka's shooting puts him far above the curve as far as finish. As he is a rookie.
He's been a professional basketball. He's been a professional basketball player for many years.
And that's another discussion, because our collegiate and high school athletes are by no means equipped to come in and step into play in today's NBA
which is why
versus an overseas athlete.
Which is why Blake Griffin's rookie season is more impressive.
Agreed.
But you never put Blake Griffin on par to be an NBA champion his first year.
And it's also
Right, but that's not the conversation. The conversation is who had a better rookie season. The conversation is not who do you think would be trending higher after the rookie year. Because Blake Griffin was viewed as being one of the marquee names in the NBA after his rookie year.
Reason why Kevin Durant is even more impressive, because there's potential for more growth there. Like, I don't know that the potential for growth, you named all these things that he can do. No one's talking about how he's going to get better in this way and that way. Like, the growth is not there.
Get better. His outside shooting, his 3 points
pretty good.
You're presuming that he's going to get better as a shooter. You're presuming that. He might just be a 42, 43% guy for his whole career, a la James Harden. And he's not going to get any better defensively.
Good.
He's shooting in the low 30s, 33% or something like that from 3. That's going to go up.
Presumably. You're assuming that.
That's going to go away.
And you watch this in year 1. I get it. The ceiling for LeBron James was Michael Jordan. In effect, every single year, that guy improved. Every single year, Durant improved. Every single year, Blake Griffin has taken steps. You're not going to see the same leap of steps, but you're going to see earlier success. And that's why a guy like Mark Cuban is...
You're saying that we're going to see earlier success for Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see. They have a huge hill to climb, man. Okay? Basically, what you're saying is that they're going to get to Golden State Warrior level within the next 3 or 4 years.
Cuban is going to go out and be uber aggressive in free agent and say, let me go and get everything I can to surround this kid.
Mark Cuban is going to be uber aggressive in free agency. Name the last big name free agent that Mark Cuban was able to sign. Just name one. And when I say free agent, I'm talking about superstar level. I'm not talking about DeAndre Jordan.
This kid with talent.
They got Porzingis. Like, I'm on Team Luka too. I like Luka also, but I'm not going to pretend like there's a huge gap between him and all.
Ryan Hollins said you don't sound like it when Dominic Foxworth said, I like Luka too. In other words, Ryan Hollins is upset because Dominic Foxworth is not showing fanboyism like he is.
Him and all these other very promising rookies. I don't think that you should mention him in the name of... That's what bothered me about Carlisle, is he said LeBron. Don't say LeBron. Don't bring LeBron. There's plenty of people between Luka and LeBron.
No.
He said other guys too.
An ultra-dominant rookie. Will you compare him to James Harden? According to Second Spectrum, Luka Doncic made 76 step-back threes as a rookie. The only player to have more this season was James Harden with 232. Wow.
So in other words, James Harden had over 3 times the amount of step-back three-point shots that he made than Luka Doncic. Look, I give Luka a lot of credit. There's a lot of room for growth there. But let's be very careful with the hyperbole.
So there you go.
Step-back
three is his move. He's got it down. And we're going to stay with the
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see where things go with Mr. Luka Doncic. So peace.